Amy, nice to see you. Thanks so
Nice
much
to
for
see you.
coming in. It's so nice to have an opportunity to talk about Julia.
Sure.
You know, I thought we'd start with a little interview that we do for all the children in kindergarten, sort of get their view of things. So let me tell you quickly what she told me. I asked her things that are easy for her. She said choice time and park. Things that are hard for you, she said try not to hit, not to make you hurt your feelings. And you remember all that stuff we talked about earlier through the journal. I think a lot of that stuff is revolving itself, so I think she feels like some of that's getting easier. Just the other day when she had a conflict with somebody, we've been doing this thing with having children, other students serve as mediators. And she was asking for a mediator, so somebody came over and sat with them. I don't know if those things are going better at home or...
A little bit. I mean, she's still been, like we talked about earlier in the year, she's been really difficult with her younger brother.
My goal for the parent-teacher conference was to convince the mom that her daughter was doing well. I certainly didn't want to give an overall negative impression because it's not one that I have. I feel very good about the learning that's going on. I feel very good about how Julia's doing and has progressed in school. I often will start a parent conference by saying, what do you hear about school? What does little Johnny say at home about school? Sometimes there's really important information for me there. Tell me about at home. Do you hear her talking about school? Does she say a lot? Does she give you a lot of information?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely has fun here. She does talk a lot about social stuff. Someone was mean to me, someone hit me, and she probably sees herself more as a victim than other people do, but...
The student I was discussing today, as the mom in the parent conference inferred, had some issues, some social issues early in the year, many of which have been resolved, not all of them. We've had some communication back and forth about those. Anyway, so I think a lot of that stuff, the temper tantrums, any kind of explosion, that has really lessened itself a great deal. Fine motor stuff, Julia's doing really well. We do these writing samples 3 times throughout the year, and you can see in the beginning of the year that the writing was very, very limited, and there were a couple of sort of sound letter connections. In the middle of the year, there was much more writing, still not really clear. And the one we did just recently has a lot of reference to standard spelling. And there's a lot of words that Julia has gotten from our word wall, and there's a lot of connection between the sounds. So that's been nice to see. Julia's learning, but has encountered some difficulties with some of the details of decoding, particularly sort of connecting the letters and the sounds and remembering them. And, you know, on some days I think, oh, it's just a matter of time. On other days I think there's something here that there might be a better way of getting it across. Oh, I wanted to show you her book because she really was proud of it. We've been publishing books. This is a book called I Like My Bed. And it's taken months to do this. But she did all the writing herself with a little bit of help, and then we put the text in. I like my bed. I like to play in my bed.
So why did she do it twice sometimes and then cross out that one?
Yeah, she didn't like the way it looked.
Oh.
She wanted to do it again.
In these guided reading groups you said they were in, where is she in terms of level with the other kids in comparison? Is she sort of at the top of the class?
We have all different levels. We have some kids who are reading way ahead. We have some kids who haven't even begun this yet. So she's at a good place. She's at a perfectly appropriate place for kindergarten. And in fact, we just recently started doing this little benchmark that they're looking for, and she seems to be right where she should be. So it's that in itself is not a concern. Yeah, I just think it's really important that parents know that, you know, that there are good things going on. I can't, in all my 30 years of teaching, I can't remember having a student where there wasn't something positive going on. And I think it's important for parents to know that. I'm a great believer in kids learning many, many different ways. And so there's always something that we know that a kid in kindergarten does well. I must tell you personally that is one of the things that I strive very hard for in kindergarten is that all kids are different and that everyone's seen as a very important part of this classroom community. So we have kids who are great readers, we have kids who are great painters, we have kids who are great block builders. So we value all those kinds of skills. So the kids we try very hard not to single kids out as being better or worse than anything particular. If you talk with her, I think she feels much more like a solid part of this classroom community now, and I think she feels like she has some really good friends. I know she feels that way. And I think she also feels like she really knows the routine and she knows the expectations. And so for all those reasons, I think she's feeling very good about herself. She's a great kid, and she's made tremendous progress in the social area. She's really excited to be a young reader, a young emergent reader. She's very proud of her writing. She's very proud of all the stuff she can do in math, and she's really feeling very good about herself, as we are. I think it's really important to make sure that you ask parents their opinion of things and use the parent conference as a back and forth dialogue, remembering always that the conference is it's a two-way street. It's not only a way for you to impart information, but it's a way for you to get back information about the family's life and the development of that child before you had them.